James Hopkins and his long vocabulary tests, and then in graduate school I read everything I could about Jack Welch and strategy. So here, our team with the board and our leadership team, we focus on a very key strategic characteristic, strategic pillar that I'm going to work with you all today to achieve. We call it same-pagedness. That's funny. Same-pagedness. I tried. Same-pagedness. And so let's talk for a minute about mission and vision and execution. Mission. I don't dare to the pop quiz, but the mission statement was rewritten in the past year, simplifying a multiple phrase sentence into the core essence of who we are, what we do. At the hands of B.K. Mundy, Doug Smith, Marion Farmer, Max Metter, Rob Taylor, Ben Mumon, some other very, very thoughtful people on a committee. And it states, now I'm under pressure. We guide students to strive toward full stature in their academic, spiritual, ethical, and personal growth. So guidance, strive, the synonym for that is struggle. We all remember that. Academics, spirit, ethics, personal, which is leadership, and many other athletics, arts, many other characteristics. Around that is a vision. So that's who we are and what we believe we do better than anybody else. So our vision statement, written during the strategic planning process, embraced by the Board of Trustees, is to become the best small boarding and day school in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. So when we leave here this weekend, and we're all on the same page, when you're asked, what is VES? Your answer is, the best small boarding school in the Mid-Atlantic, boarding and day school in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. And when they say why, because they deliver full stature better than any other school you can imagine. What's full stature? That's your story. That's where it really becomes individualized and personalized. We had asked our senior leaders this year to deliver stature stories, and each of them stood up here on the chapel and talked about their individual struggles, their vulnerabilities, and their growth. One boy confessing in front of us all on a Monday morning, as I was preparing for this weekend, I realized I owed someone a big apology before I could even possibly get up. For our casino night, which is a big black tie dance event, I took a shortcut. My best friend and his girlfriend had kind of been on the outs, and I didn't have a date. So I called her. And she went to the dance with me. Well, my best friend hadn't talked to me since. So yesterday, I called him and asked if I could come visit. And I went over and I apologized. And I sit back here, and I just said, how awesome is that a young man can stand before us and talk about his mistake, his vulnerability, but yet how he stepped up and honored his friendship and his relationship. And we had story after story of that. And for me, it was inspiring and motivational to watch the freshmen and the sophomores just witness that type of leadership at this school. So our wish is that type of culture really becomes a permanent part of who we are. It doesn't cycle because we had a great group of kids in the senior class. And I really think we were beginning to plant the seeds of that strong student culture this year. Then execution. So mission, vision, then you got to get it done. Great lesson. And I've important lessons in leadership is usually when Tommy's big ideas have to come down to reality. So I'm meeting with Bill and Erskine talking about the framing of Vision 2016, and they asked, so how much money do you think you want to raise? And I said, well, we've looked at the needs of the school and the potential of our entire group, and I said, how about $35 million? And they said, really? And then I'll ask you, there's a good quote. Vision without execution is hallucination. Who can attribute that quote? Scholars. Church. Edison, Thomas Edison. Vision without execution is hallucination. So Bill and Erskine Bowles, who have led at very complex strategic levels, didn't say I was hallucinating, but they said, let's talk about what would you do with the first $5 million, or the next $5 million. Let's start biting this off in executable chunks. And I think that's what this school has been about in the past 2 years. What are the key opportunities and challenges that we must overcome in order to reach that best school in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, in order to deliver our vision, our mission, as we promise every family that comes across the doorstep, Jeff. And so then underneath that are all kinds of programs and strategies and that we have imparted. I'll speak only to a couple. One particularly, and we've titled it the Toward Full Stature Program, is an intentional effort to hold ourselves accountable to the promise and the mission. So when a freshman, sophomore, new student arrives on campus, we will spend as much time as it takes to understand that individual child's potential, goals, dreams, parents' expectation, leadership style, learning style, and begin to develop the roadmap toward full stature. Set it out. Document goal-setting exercises with their advisor. Then we begin to capture progress, reflections in a digital portfolio that we can share with the parents. Here's what we said we were going to do. Here's the path. Here's what we're doing. What they can then, if they overcome a challenge, have a major achievement in the classroom, in the theater, on the athletic field, they will be asked to write a reflection on that. They will be rated and receive credit towards graduation on completing their digital portfolio. So by the time they graduate or reach that college application process, they will have a very intentional portfolio that demonstrates this is who I was, who I thought I could be, and who I've become. And we can tell that story better than our competitors because we participated intentionally along the way, because we're small, we know our students extremely well. And our college counseling program then takes that to the next level to match these students with the right place at the next level. So all of this is to say we work very hard here to be student-centered, ensure a terrific experience for those kids. This is an example of a program that we believe will hold us accountable to that promise and many of our dimensions of the program around it. I know there's plenty of questions. People enjoy asking about enrollment and other things. I'm glad to turn the floor over. We introduced Maggie Lumon, our rising senior and head counselor, and Jenna Pierce, who will be our honor committee chair next year. They are here if you have a harder question that I can't handle. I got to come back. They're from Lynchburg. So who wants to go first?
So are you really planning this in 5 million increments or not?
We're planning around the specific projects. So the project we broke ground on today is a $4 million concept. We're finalizing the exact bidding on the construction costs. Our anticipation is that is done with $3.5 million, with $500 for program support and endowment of that facility. The fine arts renovation is theoretically a $5 million project with early architectural renderings and estimating done by a contractor. But we have to get into the weeds of what exactly will it look like. And so that's our objective, to build a building for less than $5 million and endow and support the new facility. Then on top of that, when we meet as a campaign team, we talk about $11.5 million. If that's 9, then there's additional $2.5 million for debt retirement, marketing dollars, and other deferred projects. For example, we're currently replacing the windows in this chapel, as some of them are about to fall out. So you can see back here is a stand-in while the original window is away, being renovated, to the generous support from one of our esteemed alums. So you can multiply that by 100, the number of potential deferred projects on an aging campus. Hey, Henry.
Hey, Scott, I saw you from your email about the admissions correct?
Yes.
I'm curious where if that signifies a change in your admissions philosophy or what's going on.
That's great. Our current admissions director, Kate Saunders, has done a terrific job for us, and we've been lucky to have her. She is returning to New Hampshire, the school at the Tilton School where she came from. It's just a unique opportunity for her. And we had implemented a national search and felt at the end that it had fallen without a key candidate. When Garth raised his hand and said, "I've been thinking about this for a while, about a career change and a shift, getting back into the school business." They talked to different mentors about it. Talked to Parker as a member of the board, and we all agreed that he was exactly what we were looking for. We've conducted some marketing studies over our admissions program, and key areas improving our relational marketing exercises. So that's on the boots on the ground in the markets, how are we relating, and then the social media strategies. So Garth certainly brings us great strengths in that relational side and his business experience in marketing. And then Chris Starr, Director of Communications, is developing a social media strategy with a team of advisory board of students who are really the ones who drive it. Let me just talk about enrollment. Those that maybe not heard the contextual story of where VES is. In 08-09, we graduated 2 of the largest classes in the school's history at the wrong time. We had an enrollment bubble that popped, and it was difficult to replace those students as the